Yes guys, welcome to a brand new video. My name is Conan and today I want to tell you my story from how I went from fat to skinny fat to eventually jacked. So when I first got into fitness, I was around 13 years old. I'm currently 23 now, so it's been close to a decade now of me being into like this fitness lifestyle. And let me tell you, I have made almost any mistake that you could think of when it comes to my fitness journey. And so my hope by the end of today's video is that you will learn from my mistakes so that as you go about your own fitness journey, you won't have to make the same mistakes I made and you can see results a whole lot faster. Because let me tell you, I made a lot of them and I wasted a bunch of my time, a bunch of my money as well. And had I had watched a video like this before I started my fitness journey, I would have gone to my results a lot faster, right? And so I grew up, like, we're going to start from the very beginning. So I grew up in the Netherlands, which is a small country in Europe. I was always a chubby kid. I was always a big eater. I enjoyed eating sweets, chocolates, and I was a big eater as well. I had two other siblings, a younger brother and an older brother. And what I noticed is that despite us eating the same types of foods, like our mom would feed us the same foods for dinner, breakfast, lunch, and stuff, but I would eat a lot more. Like my portion sizes, like I could just keep eating and keep eating. And especially when it came to like these hyper palatable foods, like whenever we went out to like McDonald's or Burger King, which I remember so vividly, I would just like keep eating and keep eating, right? And then like for dessert, I would sneak in a couple things in my pocket sometimes just to sneak something in. I was a big eater, right? I think I've always kind of been that way. And as the years went on, I just kind of got bigger and bigger, right? And as I kind of got older, from like 6 years old, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the weight started to stack on and it started becoming like a pretty big issue, right? Now, despite me being pretty physically active, like I grew up playing numerous sports. When I was a kid, I played soccer, which still to this day is like my favorite sport ever. But I was like playing tennis, I was playing rugby, I was playing basketball, football. I was like just doing a bunch of stuff, right? At school as well, playing on the playgrounds. But despite that, and this really taught me a lesson at a very early age that you cannot out-train a bad diet, right? Even though I wasn't really fully aware of it, but looking back now in hindsight, it's like, yeah, I was very active, but my diet was trash, and therefore I was a chubby kid, right? And so if you're currently in the belief that, oh, it doesn't matter what I eat, I can just work it off, I can train it off, no. Do yourselves a favor, do not do that. That's a big mistake that I made, and yeah, like, do not do that, basically, right? And now at the age of 11, my family and I actually decided to move to Canada. Spontaneously, my parents have always enjoyed traveling. My dad's American, my mom's German. They met in Australia, moved to London where my older brother was born, moved to the Netherlands, and then they were like, yep, let's move to Canada now. So yeah, that was a big kind of like culture shock for me. I knew a bit of English, like I knew somewhat how to speak English, but it was definitely like super new to me. So imagine being an 11-year-old kid who already was low in self-esteem, low in confidence, moving to a brand new country, a brand new culture, brand new language, brand new everything, basically, right? That definitely did not help me in terms of anything really, in terms of confidence, in terms of especially the diet. One thing that, if you guys aren't aware, is that North America, specifically the foods in North America, are a lot different than in Europe, right? When it comes to just like the cereals, like when I first went to the grocery store in Canada, it literally felt like I was in like the chocolate factory. I was like, oh my God, this is like heaven to me. I'm seeing all these crazy cereals with like Cookie Crisp, Fruit Loops, Lucky Charms, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, like all of these cereals actually we did not have in the Netherlands. Like in the Netherlands they had like these boring Kellogg's, granola, cereals, whatever. But in the US, Canada, it's like they have like the craziest amounts of foods, right? They had pizza pops, frozen pizzas, frozen dinners, and it was actually like really cool for me because I grew up watching American movies. One thing that I remember so vividly was watching Alvin and the Chipmunks, and in one of the scenes, one of the chipmunks, I don't know why I remember this, but one of them actually hid like a toaster waffle underneath the carpet, and it was like filled with like maple syrup and stuff. And when I saw frozen waffles at a Walmart when I went to Canada when I first moved there, I immediately thought of like Alvin and the Chipmunks. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I used to see this in movies and now I see it in real life. And then like I ate a bunch of it, obviously, like for breakfast. I had these toaster waffles, toaster pancakes. I had Pop-Tarts. I was just indulging a lot. So when we moved to Canada, I definitely indulged, and they have a lot more fast food joints as well. Jack in the Box, you name it, right? So a lot more options when it comes to food, and that definitely did not help me. However, fast forward a couple years later, I would say at around the age of like 13, 14, thankfully for myself, I went through like this growth spurt where I basically got rid of most of my belly fat or just body fat in general. But what you guys can tell here, and this is when I was around, I think 12 or 13, I was skinny fat basically, right? And so basically skinny fat, what that is that you're both skinny, but then at the same time, because your muscle mass is so low, you kind of like also have a high body fat percentage, so that it kind of like creates like this weird appearance of like you are skinny, but at the same time when you take off your shirt you kind of have that belly as well, and so you kind of look fat at the same time. So it's like this weird dilemma where most guys, I assume, definitely don't want to be in. At least for myself, I did not like being in that situation, because now it's like, okay, well, I used to be chubby, but now I'm like skinny and fat. It's like, okay, well, this isn't fun, this isn't ideal, right? So I know what it feels like being chubby, and I also know what it feels like being kind of like on the skinnier side of things while also still having some baby fat, right? So that definitely wasn't fun, and that definitely added to my insecurities as well. I actually had to like go through my files, and this was probably one of the only pictures that I have for myself without a shirt. One of the biggest regrets that I really regret doing was not taking enough pictures, just in general, but especially like just when it comes to like my fitness journey, especially at the start. And I think so many people are discouraged to, even if it's just privately for yourself, to just take progress pictures to document your journey, because again, of course, like when you start, you're going to suck. At the start, you're going to look terrible, right? But that is how you track your progress, right? I'm going to go on a tangent right now, but what gets measured gets improved. And so if you're not measuring certain things, whether it's your progress pictures, your weights, your strength levels, how on earth do you know if you're making progress or not, right? Because if you're not taking your progress pictures, how do you know visually if you've actually made a big change, right? Of course, like if it's like a drastic change, you will notice something. But I think it's personally really cool to like look back on like your first day 1 pictures, and like maybe like your day 90 or day 120 or day 365, right? It's from like a year apart. It's just really cool to like look back on that and like showcase the differences. So that's definitely something that I want you guys to start doing as well. If you're not already, take your progress pictures, document your journey. If it's just privately, just like document that, because you will look back on that and you are gonna not regret it one single bit. The more pictures you take, the better it'll be. Now, through these years, like I mentioned, I really dreaded taking off my shirts, which is why I had a hard time finding these pictures, right? But I was at the beach, at the pool as well. I avoided talking to the opposite sex. I would not talk to girls at all. Like, I was just really shy, insecure. I had a small group of friends, but I really wouldn't put myself out there. And the excuse that I used personally was because like, oh, I don't really feel comfortable in these clothes that I'm wearing, or I don't really feel comfortable talking to them. Like, oh, they have all this swag on them, and like I just don't feel confident doing that for myself, right? And I kind of blamed it on maybe not feeling confident in terms of like my body, right? I was just really self-conscious about my appearance, right? On top of that, like the way I felt was also like pretty high fatigue, pretty sluggish as well, because one thing you guys will probably notice is that when you feel good or when you look good, you'll feel good, just because, I mean, like if you have a six-pack, it's like subconsciously that's just gonna make you feel better, right? Whereas if you look down on your stomach and it's like you see your belly hanging over, it's like, well, that's not really gonna put you in a good mood, right? So yeah, I felt all these kind of like things of like, again, fatigue, sluggish, and I knew something had to change. So yeah, this was me eating breakfast at around 14 years old. Here I was pretty skinny, right? So I got rid of most of my belly fat. And so from this age onwards, I kind of started experimenting, right? So I remember one day coming home from school, it was around summertime, and just out of nowhere, I don't know where this came from, why this happened, but I just went on YouTube, and I was like, well, like I want to do something. Like, summer's around the corner, like I want to take off my shirt. I used to look up to Zac Efron a lot, and at the time, this was in 2013, I actually watched a movie called Neighbors, which was with Zac Efron and what was his name? Seth Godin? No, that's the author's name. Seth Rogen. Or no, not Seth Rogen. One of these guys' names, the movie was called Neighbors. And like Zac Efron, like he had his shirt off. He looked absolutely jacked, shredded. I was like, I want to look like that. And I watched it in the movies, and I was like, this is so cool. I think that kind of like maybe sparked my motivation to maybe like start this journey. And so I went on YouTube, I searched up how to get six-pack abs, right? And the first person that came up at the time, if you guys have been around, Mike Chang from Six Pack Shortcuts, He was like the fitness guy back in that era. 2012, 2013, he had a bunch of ads everywhere. I watched all of his ads, I watched all of his YouTube videos, and I started just like doing some of his home workouts, right? So I remember really vividly in my room, in my basement, I had my computer set up, and I'd completely clear all of my room, and I would just like do follow along workouts. So I'd have like a 15-minute home ab blaster body weights workout routine, and I literally just put it on full screen, and I'd literally just like be on my carpet doing all these crazy exercises. Some of them were like HIIT workouts as well, where I'd be doing like jumping jacks, high knees, push-ups, planks, all this stuff, right? So that initially kind of got me going, but I was very inconsistent with that. I honestly, it was based on my mood. If I came home from school feeling super motivated, the sun was shining, then I'm like, okay, let me do a quick little workout, let me do this, I'm hyped, I'm pumped. But if it was like raining, or if I had just like a bunch of homework to do, I would not do it, right? And so another thing that I lacked when I first started my journey was just like not being disciplined enough, right? Like I had somewhat of a goal in mind of like just seeing my six-pack abs, but I just didn't have a strong enough why or strong enough purpose to do this. So as you guys go along your fitness journey, it is really important for you to have a why. Like, why do you want to do this? Because I get on a bunch of consultation calls now with a bunch of people. I'm like, okay, you want to lose 50 pounds, you want to lose 20 pounds, whatever it may be, but why do you want to do that, right? And don't give me like a boring answer of like, oh, I just want to feel better. Oh, I just want to improve my confidence. But okay, why? Why do you want to improve your confidence? Let me rephrase the question. How does your current situation make you feel? Do you feel, or how does it like affect your life? Does it affect maybe like your work or relationships, social events at all? Like, how does your current situation make you feel? And then come up with a strong enough reason of why you want to make this change. Because oftentimes people aren't in deep enough pain to actually want to make the change, right? And so you're really going to have to like ask yourself this question. Maybe analyze your current situation. How would your life look differently if you actually started to make a change, right? How would your life look differently if you lost the 50 pounds, if you had a six-pack, if you had more energy levels? Well, you'd probably be a bit more confident, or probably increase your earning potential, because you probably have a bit more energy now to actually work a bit harder now, right? All these things are associated with just like better health, better weight management, all this stuff. And that is something that I really lacked, because I really did not have a deep sense of purpose for doing this. Sure, maybe I wanted to talk to more girls, but I mean, that wasn't strong enough. That really wasn't strong enough to get me out of bed on the days that I had to do my workout, for example, right? So come up with a strong why, and that'll help you stay disciplined all along your journey, especially on the days that you do not feel like doing it, right? And so from 13 up until I would say 14, 15, very inconsistent. At around the age of 16, I'm actually started going to my gym's weight room. So in my high school, they had a weight room section upstairs, and honestly, since I would probably say 15, 16 onwards. That's when I started going with my friend Steven. He was a exchange student from China, and we just hit it off, and we just started going every day after school. We went to GNC together. We got like all the supplements, and then after school was like a ritual where we meet up at the lockers, and then we do our workout, and it was like a really good time. So big shout out to Steven. He kind of like really got me. He got me a bit more consistent by actually going into the gym. And I'm just like being more consistent with like my exercise routine, right? And so from 15 to 16, 17 onwards, I got a lot more consistent with everything, and I actually started to like see some results for once, which was really, really awesome. So here's a quick little before and after picture. I basically got really shredded, as you guys can tell, right? I achieved my goal of seeing six-pack abs, obviously, right? And at the time, guys, keep in mind that I was still playing a bunch of sports. I was playing hockey, basketball, mainly also soccer as well. I can probably talk about this a bit later on, but maybe in a separate video. But at this time, like my main priority was always soccer. Like soccer was always like my main thing. Ever since I was basically like from the Netherlands onwards, soccer was always my main priority. Played it in the Netherlands. As soon as I moved to Canada, still played soccer, and I kept leveling up. I even got up to playing for like my state's team, my provincial team in Canada, and we played at nationals. We played at a bunch of like really cool leagues, and I even had a scholarship to play soccer as well. This picture, funnily enough, was actually taken at my school campus when I actually was in preseason, actually during soccer camp. So yeah, that was actually me, and I was doing a bunch of cardio. I was working out pretty much every single day. My diet was actually on point as well for once. I really started to like keep track of my nutrition, keep track of like my diet and stuff. So everything was like pretty much on point, right? So I went from being skinny fat to now just being like honestly pretty skinny, but like super shredded, right? But this was like the best that I have felt for sure. So like I mentioned, at 17, things started to finally click, right? I was tracking my food, I was working out regularly, and I actually found a good routine that worked for me, right? And I began to see real progress. My dream body started to become light, and I achieved those six-pack abs I have always dreamt of, right? But now, one thing you guys will always also notice on your fitness journey is that once you achieve one goal, whether it's seeing six-pack abs, whether it's losing 20 pounds, whether it's getting 10 pounds of muscle, whatever it is, once you achieve that, you may celebrate for a bit, a couple of days, a couple of weeks maybe even, but if you have a growth mindset, guess what will happen next? You're going to start searching for the next goal, the next big thing, right? And so what I noticed for myself is that, okay, despite me having my six-pack abs now, I felt really skinny. I was like, okay, well, now I really want to make sure that I add some size to my frame and do more of like a lean bulk, right? So from 17 up until, I mean, now I'm 23, obviously, right? So it's been quite some time, but I started to like build up more muscle, right? And ultimately what it came down to is just being consistent, right? The biggest thing that separates those who are in shape versus those who aren't simply comes down to consistency, right? Like from 17 onwards up until now, I don't think I've skipped a dedicated like workout that I actually had to go to, right? And that is because I've really fallen in love with the process. I enjoy eating the food. I enjoy doing the workouts. I even enjoy like the recovery side of things, of getting my sleep in, reducing my stress levels, and I've just become addicted to the lifestyle, right? But at the start, I didn't. And I had to go through this journey of trial and error, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, for me to finally get to a point where I actually enjoy my life, enjoy this lifestyle, where I can see results consistently on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, right? And so now being 23 years old, I have found and I've built that foundation. I maintained my physique, but more importantly, I've actually learned to also help others do the exact same thing. So throughout this journey, a couple years ago, I also got my certified training or personal training certificate. I started training people in person because I just really enjoyed my own journey, and I started documenting my own progress on social media online, and that kind of like sparked me to want to help others in person, right? So I did that for a couple months, and then I transitioned into doing online coaching, where I help a bunch of people now get into the best shape possible online. So like I mentioned today, I help a bunch of busy professional men, just like yourself, who is hopefully watching this video, go through the similar journey that I had to go through. But here's the kicker: in a fraction of the time and without all the frustration, right? I wasted a bunch of money on just stupid supplements, on stupid workout programs, on exercise gimmicks, fad diets. I went through all of it, right? And so by me teaching my clients now, I pretty much teach them the good stuff without the scars, right? Without the bad stuff, to pretty much help accelerate their results. And so the best part is, using our method, is that you don't have to spend hours or countless hours doing cardio on the stupid treadmill or giving up your favorite foods, right? Like, I'm still eating my favorite foods, whether it's pizza, burgers, fries, sushi. I love my sushi, and I can still eat that while maintaining my health and maintaining my physique without spending hours in the gym, doing hours on the cardio treadmill machine, whatever you want to call it, and actually enjoying a life that I enjoy while still seeing results on my fitness journey, right? Now, if you're looking to make a change and finally get rid of that stubborn belly fat, whether right now you're 20 pounds overweight, 50 pounds overweight, or just want to tone up your muscles a bit more, I invite you to book a free consultation call with me. Keep in mind though, spots are limited and they fill up pretty fast. So do not wait. Like, if you're watching this right now and you're motivated to kind of get things going, go ahead and book a call right now. The link is in the description, and hopefully I will see you inside. Peace.